What is up guys, Andy Forest Runner here, and today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on how the Hoka Only Carbon X performs on the long run. Okay, so just one quick point I want to make before we get on to the actual review. Whilst I'm out here and thinking about it, a lot of you might have realised on Strava I'm just doing one workout a week at the moment, not two, which frees my long runs up to do something a little bit more intense, long run workout-esque, if you get my drift. And I've been thinking about how to test this shoe on a long run. It's a racer, just like my first impressions. I wanted to get some speed into it, and today is no exception. So what I thought I would do is I'd blow the myth away where we all say, me, you, other YouTubers, oh, this shoe makes me want to go faster. But you know what? I'm letting this shoe take me faster to a pace where I feel comfortable. Like if I said to you, I did a long slow run today and it was 8 minutes a mile and it felt good, but the shoe wanted to make me go faster, I'd be left thinking, well, what was that pace that it wanted me to go then? So I've kind of just clicked into a gear. I've done 4.6 miles on the tarmac, hopped onto the cycle trail, gonna do the 9-mile loop, and I'm gonna do a few miles at this it wants me to go faster pace. So we'll touch base when we get back, but I just thought I'd say that. I'll give you the report of what that pace is when we're done. Hoping to get 15 miles today, so it should be a good long run. Anyway, enough of that, on to the review. 15 miles done and dusted in the Hoka Only Carbon X. A good mix of road and trail miles put in there, and of course a good mix of paces, as you saw by that quick video clip. We'll be covering all of how this shoe fared on the long run test today, including the burning question that I had leading into this run with the firmer midsole in this thing, how are my legs and feet going to feel at the end of it? So if you're excited for today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and without further ado, let's dive into talking about how this thing did on the long run. So overall, in the Hoka Only Carbon X, the long run test was a big success. 15 miles of joyful miles in this thing. I really did enjoy it, and I'm not just saying that. This shoe worked really well for me, and I'll tell you for why before we get into anything. For me, it feels very similar to the Nike Zoom Fly. It has a bit of a wider base than the Nike Zoom Fly, but overall, in terms of the midsole and the firmness, it just feels very similar. And of course I'm used to racing in that shoe, so it's kind of like a natural transition into this shoe, which is a great thing. But I had 3 questions today. It was the comfort over the run, with of course that burning question from my initial impressions of, with it being quite a firm shoe, how would my legs and feet feel at the end? So we had comfort. I wanted to test how it felt over the duration, and then of course, what did it feel like when we picked up the pace? For me, a racing shoe testing is always difficult. It's a bit more difficult than just testing another bog standard daily shoe, or maybe like the Rincon, where it's geared for speed but maybe not geared so much for races. For this sort of shoe, I wanted to give it justice, and thankfully my training schedule at the moment allows me to go out and push the pace on the long run, because I'm only doing one workout in the midweek, which means my legs are relatively fresh in the weekend. So when it came to the long run, I wanted to, as I said, make sure I got a decent amount of miles. We did. We hit the 15 mark, and let's answer the questions in order. Comfort. How were my legs feeling at the end of it? Well, for me, they felt really good. I was really concerned. For those of you who have stuck around the channel for a while, you would have watched my New Balance Beacon version 2 video where it had a very firm midsole. I took that out for a 20-mile long run, I think it was, in a long run test. One of the biggest long run tests I'd done. I was out there for 2 hours and 30 minutes or something like that. My legs felt absolutely trashed, and I vowed to myself after that long run I would never take the New Balance Beacon version 2 out for a long run again. It's been a great shoe for me. I've kept it for the easy days, but I've never taken it out for more than an hour and 10 minutes. So I was really surprised with a similar firm feeling that it was completely the opposite when I got back. I did not feel any foot fatigue or leg fatigue when I got back. Now, disclaimer, I have to say, of course, probably 2/3 of the miles that I ran were on soft trails, so my legs weren't being beaten up by the tarmac. It would be interesting to do a 15-mile long run on the tarmac, but I'm saving that for the speed test, which is of course next weekend, or this weekend coming up I should say, at the Gloucester Half Marathon. I'll report back after that video, so make sure you stay tuned for that on how my legs feel then. But with that said, it still felt really, really good, and the comfort level was just great. As I said, it was like home from home going from the Zoom Fly. So picking up the pace, obviously it lasted the duration fine, the comfort levels were great, but how did it feel when we picked up the pace? Well, as I said to you in the beginning, I wanted to let that question that we all say, and you know, I'm not the only one guilty of this. I know all of you out there say, oh, I ran easy today, but the shoe made me want to run faster. We're all guilty of saying that. So I let this thing take me faster. I thought, do you know what? Now's the time. Let's put this thing to the test. Let's let it take me at the pace it wants to take me. Now, I did 6 miles in this shoe at a relatively decent pace within the 15 miles. And the majority of that was downhill. It was on our cycle track. It was majoritively downhill. And then the last mile was up quite a steep hill. So take these paces with a pinch of salt, of course, because it was downhill. But I was running comfortably in the realm of 6:15 per mile up to 6:30 per mile on the downhill. And then I think it was a 6:44 on the up. I was really surprised because I've run those paces down that hill before and I've worked way harder than I did in this thing. So again, in my opinion, it showed me that it is a natural racing shoe because it took me faster with less effort. Whether that's the carbon plate, whether that's the design of the shoe, it could be a combination of both. Either way, it did the job that I wanted it to do. And so of course when I got home, I thought to myself, right, I've answered the question of it being firm but comfortable. It lasted the duration and it felt great picking up the pace. And that leads me into obviously the final point that I'm going to make with this shoe is that I'm super excited to take this thing on the Gloucester Half Marathon this weekend because of course I was hitting those paces downhill on the trails, feeling relatively comfortable. I cannot wait to see what this thing does on tarmac in a half marathon race environment. I'm super excited to be bringing this thing to my racing series, or sorry, my racing shoe series this year. This thing is certainly going to get a lot of use, and I think someone asked the question in my first impressions video, would I use it for a marathon? Obviously I can't comment on how my legs would feel at the end of a marathon because I haven't run one in it, but yes, 100% I intend on using this shoe in a marathon, hopefully at some point this year. So overall, my thoughts in the long run test in this shoe is that it passed with flying colours. I could of course do a speed test later this week, but I don't want to bog you down with another Carbon X video with then bringing it in the Gloucester Half Marathon. We're going to save that now until the Gloucester Half Marathon and really put this thing through its paces, because what better test could we put a racing shoe through than a race itself? So there we go guys, that's my thoughts on the Hoka One Carbon X. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. If you have the shoe, leave a comment below, let me know how you get on with it. Obviously we've had some great comments already on the first impressions video, and a lot of you have expressed your pleasure of having this shoe. A few of you are not so keen. Let me know, how do you feel when you pick up the pace in this shoe? Have you got any comparisons of shoes that you liken it to? And of course, have you got a shoe that's better? And don't say the next percent, because I know a lot of you said that, and naturally I think it will be, and at some point we'll hopefully get our hands on a pair to test. But overall, I'm delighted. I hope you guys are. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and of course I'll see you on the next one. Until then.